So at least the strategize and set part needs to come at least once a year, using artificial intelligence to brainstorm and set your business goals. Not only set them, but like strategize, set, and execute them. Have a plan on what you're going to do regularly to achieve them. What Elon's whole idea here is that he's breached the principles. He's talking about OpenAI right now. Hey, it's Ronsley. Welcome, you AI geek, to Amplify AI. Consider this podcast your digital compass for you, the business leader wanting to use artificial intelligence ethically and in alignment with your brand's identity to achieve your business goals. Leading and running a business in the world of AI is like solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded. But this podcast and I are here to make that easy. Every episode is a masterclass in unlocking techniques for using AI as a business leader, founder, owner. Thanks for being here. Let's learn. Pay attention to the work you do. There's something about you knowing the goal and breaking it down that your subconscious automatically starts working on. So as a business owner, one of the things that you can do to dramatically improve your chances of success is to continuously look at your goals. We talk about a practical walkthrough of the SWOT analysis and objectives and key results on how to create goals and how to measure against those goals. Also, I cover some really interesting news on Elon Musk suing OpenAI and ChatGPT, the company. So let's learn. We know that once we set a goal and we identify, we spend time and energy and focus on setting the goal, a lot of the times it works, and it's happened way too often for me. But it is time consuming, it is energy consuming. It takes a lot of energy and mental focus to set goals. And there's a great quote I heard by a friend of mine when I was interviewing her a few years ago. Actually, I went to her house down in Noosa. Her name is Melissa Ambrosini. So I interviewed her for a podcast that I used to do, an audio documentary called The Psychology of Entrepreneurship. And she said something really interesting before we started recording, actually. She's like, Ronsley, how many times does a millionaire read their goals? And I said, I don't know. She's like, every day. How many times does a billionaire read their goals? And I was like, I don't know. It's like twice a day. I said, oh, that's really interesting. So goals are really important. And the more we set the goals, the better it is for us. So today I'm going to show you how to do that with speed at using AI. What I'm seeing a lot is that AI looks like this great magic trick. And a lot of people can get some good results because if you put anything in the ChatGPT, it's quite remarkable what it returns. But it doesn't actually grow the business, or doesn't grow revenue or operations or audience or brand. And that's the focus. The focus is here to use artificial intelligence in alignment with brand identity to actually do something for the business. So let's just start with some of the news, what's been happening around Elon Musk suing ChatGPT. Now, in the world of AI, this happened a long time ago, but this actually happened on the 2nd of March, and this is by the BBC. But what Elon's whole idea here is that he's breached the principles. He's talking about OpenAI right now, and he's talking about how OpenAI has breached the principles. And if you didn't know, Elon Musk was part of the initial group that formed OpenAI along with Sam Altman. So he's saying that instead of trying to benefit humanity, as it was set up to do, it's focusing on maximizing profits for its major investor, Microsoft. So it's really interesting to see how these major players. But this is a really interesting development because I also have a really interesting episode coming up when I want to do lives. I've planned a few of these out. The title is How Open is Actually OpenAI, right? Because we don't really know how it functions, and there's a lot of open source large language models. And, in general, the sentiment is that we use artificial intelligence and it should be available to everyone. It should be available to anyone. So we want to use it for good, and we want to be able to make it, democratize it as well. It's also really interesting because, we know that OpenAI changed its focus very recently and put its focus as going after AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. And that's a big step, an artificial intelligence that is capable of any task, but also be aware that it is alive and can think for itself. So here is the main part of the case, which I thought it would be very relevant for us to all know about. this case is filed to compel OpenAI to adhere to the founding agreement and return to its mission to develop AGI for the benefit of humanity, not to personally benefit the individual defendants and the largest technology company in the world. And he's talking about Microsoft here. But, there's a lot of things happening right now. OpenAI is probably one of the most, like everyone's talking about OpenAI a lot. Everyone's focusing on OpenAI, and we know that, there was this whole thing with the board and Sam Altman being ousted. But, we know how closely Microsoft worked with OpenAI during that time as well. So it's all really interesting. It's really important to know that AI should be freely available. And that's why this news story is really important. Microsoft investment in OpenAI is large. It's quite large. And we know that in the sense that GPT-4 is closed. We don't know how it works, and it's not. So we want that to be more, there to be more open. So considering the name of the company is OpenAI, a lot of their stuff is quite closed. And this is also really interesting, this effective altruism, which is really the way most entrepreneurs think about entrepreneurship, is solving meaningful problems. And Elon Musk goes after this, and it's apparently called effective altruism. Anyway, that's the news. I want to talk about, setting business goals, because I think that's super important. I want to say a couple of things. First is the technique to get business goals. And most of us here tuning in are probably at a stage that we should have at least do our business goals and set them, strategize them, set and execute them regularly. So at least the strategize and set part needs to come at least once a year, if not more frequently, and regularly execute and monitor and control them. So the process to strategize and set is you do a SWOT analysis, followed by putting that SWOT analysis into an objectives and key results framework, and then do that, then find out what your regular recurring reps are. Now, again, I want you to think about this, like if you had to do this manually, this would take a lot of time, right? But now you can do that at speed. So I asked this question, which I think is really powerful. So I asked it, how long did it take a small business to do an annual identify business goals project? It would include a SWOT analysis, followed by doing OKRs, using OKRs to create regular recurring reps, which mean the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual tasks that need to be done to achieve the business OKRs. So that's the context, right? So it did a really good job of breaking the whole thing down. And it said, well, typically you might expect to spend between 4 to 10 weeks on something like that. I'm like, well, that is a lot of time. So what we want to do is do that quicker, right? We want to do that easier. So this is another tool, Perplexity.ai. One of the things that I want to do is show you like how I would set these different goals. So the first thing I would do is I would say, my name is Ronsley, and I'm a computer scientist, and entrepreneur, friend that helps business owners use AI to grow revenue, operations, brand, and audience in alignment. There are brand identity. So like a basic, this is what I do, and this is why this is really, really important. Can you run me a SWOT analysis and also run me a SWOT analysis? I don't think that's the best instruction, but it's a good start. Well, what's the main focus of your business? Let me say coaching and training business owners and leaders. And then we'll see what that does. So Perplexity is really, really cool the way it operates, because it has access to the internet, but you can also choose different models that you want to use while you're doing this. I'll show you a few different things, but the idea of a SWOT analysis is that it takes something that you give it, which is true. So you say, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is what I care about. And you're saying, this is what my business does. This is how I help my people. This is the outcome that they're after. So you kind of grounding your objectives and key results on your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, rather than not do that. It'll identify what the strengths and weaknesses are, which is really interesting. And so I'm not even to give it the entire context, but the more context you give it, much better it is, right? So my suggestion is that when you're running your SWOT analysis and you're doing that, you put what your strengths are and the way you see things. The weaknesses, as a solopreneur, you lack resources. See, I didn't even tell it about, the teams that I have. Your broad focus is, specialized, which is a weakness. Bridging ancient wisdom with cutting edge technology is a unique angle, but maybe hard to translate into concrete service offerings. So it's found out that I actually care about this ethical conundrum that we have around AI, which is, are we using it only to hit our goals? Are we using it primarily just to get ahead and not be left behind? Or are we genuinely using it to solve meaningful problems? And I feel like us going back to ancient wisdom where collaboration is so powerful is a really good way to inform artificial intelligence. So that's the weaknesses, and it's on opportunities and threats. So now what I want to do is I want to say, based on the SWOT analysis, well, can you help me set objectives and key results? My goal is in the next year to have 100 business owners and leaders in my group. So to set effective OKRs for your goal of having 100 business owners and leaders in your group coaching, I'll need some additional information. So what is the current number of business owners? 13. Do you have an existing marketing approach? 2. Yes. Podcast and email list of 4,500 people. What is the capacity if you're taking new clients and resources? 3 is in group format, so more people and my team help. Are there specific industries? So I would say online, want to start with businesses already. Can you imagine how long this would take to manually do this, especially if you have a big team? And you say if you had 2 more leaders that you'd have to do that with, how many meetings that would be and how long it would take. So now, based on that context, it's given me, it's sort of figured out my objective, which I've kind of given it. When you're doing your OKRs to have, okay, this is my goal, this is my objective for the next year. So this is my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is my goal for the next year. Can you give me key results that I have to do and the milestones, which it's done, right? So it's kind of gone, increase the number of business owners, leverage existing podcasts to attract new clients, convert email list. And then it's given me these really amazing things here, which is so powerful. The next thing you're going to do is figure out how to regularly do them. So now I would say, this is great. You are amazing. I would love you to help me with, which is regular, recurring reps. These are the tasks. Let's see what we did here. It kind of grounded us and told us, what are good, what is bad. And then what we've done is we've said our goal or objective for the next year is this. Based on the objective, give me the key results and milestones for me to achieve. So these are the different milestones first half of the year, how to do them, how to convert them, and it's broken it down. And then we've asked it, okay, well, this is all great, but what do I do regularly to make sure that I'm actually achieving my OKRs? So that is, you do it at speed. Like when you think about what we saw earlier, when we first started this whole conversation about doing business goals, when we started, we were talking about how long this would take to do it without AI. It would take between 4 and 11 weeks, it said, and that is being very conservative about this whole operation, how to execute this operation. And to do that at speed is so powerful. Even to have that in play right now, even for you to ideate and spend half an hour, 20 minutes, or even an hour using artificial intelligence to brainstorm and set your business goals. Not only set them, but like strategize, set, and execute them, have a plan on what you're going to do regularly to achieve them, It's going to be a great exercise. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So then you can understand how you can actually get whatever it is that you want. Now, there are a whole bunch of edited podcasts on different growth tactics, case studies, and different tech stacks on some really important AI concepts. And you go to Amplify AI on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you find your podcast, or go to aigeeks.site, SITE, so Amplify AI podcast. And if you want an advanced copy of my book, send me a DM. If you're here, send me a comment. That would be great. Thanks for joining me. All right. This is Ronsley. Much love. Hey, AI Geek. Thanks for listening. Your job doesn't stop here. I want you to lend your voice to the conversation. So you can join those conversations, discussions, new trainings, new recordings, and the rest of the AI Geeks by going to aigeeks.co. Also, share this podcast with a friend, another potential AI geek. Until then, much love.